Today is a good day for a good day. That's the mug I got this morning. Welcome to Coffee with Alain. Appreciate everybody that shows up, comments, shares, listens to replays, listens to the podcast. Thank all of you. Public thank you to those that commented on the newsletter that went out last night. I appreciate those as well. Hope you enjoyed that newsletter. I think that article on communication had a very important tip for people when you are in a potentially hot situation. The way you communicate can make all the difference between resolving it or violence breaking out. So I hope you enjoyed that article and the other articles on self-defense and being exceptional. And I hope you like that picture of Rocky that I put in there with that short little thing about enjoying life. What I wanted to talk about a little bit today was the storm in California. Did you see how hard the Sierras were hit? I mean, they closed a huge section of I-80, tons of people stranded. I think it was over 40,000 people without power. I mean, that's a pretty big storm, affected a lot of people. Now, if those people were prepared for something like that, they would have weathered it fairly fine, got through it. Unprepared, and it would have been pretty miserable, potentially dangerous. I mean, when you're stuck out on the road and you don't have the proper things in your vehicle, that can be dangerous. It's going to suck no matter what, but if you're prepared, you can ride it out and be okay. Same when the power goes out at your home. It sucks, but if you're prepared, you can ride it out and be okay, be comfortable. If you're not prepared, it can be disastrous, very uncomfortable, and even dangerous. It is prudent and important that we prepare for these kind of events. And it will depend on where we live. Obviously, if you live in a place that never gets snow, you're not going to prepare the same as those in the Sierras that just got dumped on this weekend. But if you're in a hurricane zone, you prepare for that. Tornadoes, wherever you are. And it doesn't matter, anyone could lose power for a certain length of time. It doesn't have to be weather related. It could be something else. So it's important to be prepared to go without power. It's important to be prepared if we're stranded on the side of the road. Not just snow and ice and storms that strand people. When you're prepared, you get through these situations, sometimes comfortably, annoyed, yes, but you're not in danger. And it's not as bad as when you're unprepared. Good morning, Dixon. Dixon says, thank goodness for meteorologists when it comes to major weather events. And that's very true, too. If you pay attention to weather reports, especially if you're going to travel and do things, you can be better prepared because we now have the capabilities to predict some of these things and not be caught off guard as it was years ago when we had no way of predicting the weather. Whenever I go on a trip across Montana in the winter, I'm always looking at what the weather is going to be. You know, I remember a number of years ago, had to make a business trip to Spokane, but I also wanted to see Kiss. It was the beginning of their farewell tour. They were going to play on Monday, and I was going to go over on Sunday, have the business on Monday morning, see the concert Monday night, come home Tuesday. The weather was reporting huge storms coming in that weekend. And I had 2 passes between Missoula and Spokane. I went over to Spokane on Friday in the good weather. That huge storm hit. I was holed up in the hotel in Spokane, safe and sound, no problems. Wasn't trying to drive over those mountain passes in the blizzard. Got to do my meetings on Monday morning. Got to see Kiss that night. Went home safely on Tuesday. Yes, it cost me a couple nights hotel, but that was a lot better than trying to go over those passes in the storm and maybe not making it and missing my appointment and missing KISS. So checking out your weather reports and planning accordingly and being smart about things, very important. Thanks for that, Dixon. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Vicky. Appreciate you guys being here. Jay says 511. Jay, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. So if you want to put another comment before I end, I'll read that, or not. I'll read it when I'm out, but I'm not exactly sure what you mean by 511. So that's just a little thing I wanted to share today. That storm and all those people without power, all those people stranded, the roads being closed and halting different things. If you're prepared, you get through those situations without much incident. If you're unprepared, it can be uncomfortable and even dangerous. So make sure you are prepared and you make smart decisions when it comes to weather, when it comes to anything else. Thank you, Jay. The highway road conditions number. Wasn't thinking right, but yes, 511 is a highway road conditions number where you can check things out. You can go online now and you can see cameras on a lot of the passes and check the weather and a lot of different ways. 511 being that number is one way. The internet, different things are, there are other ways to check road conditions, find out what it's going to be like, where you're traveling, so you can make smart decisions and be safe about it. And always be prepared just in case. It takes very little effort to have an extra bag in your vehicle with warm clothing, a shovel, different things that if you're stuck or stranded can help you get through it. It's always important to have things in your home that will help you get through a power outage, get through, maybe water is cut off for some reason. So whatever place and circumstances you are in, make sure you have the preparation to see you through when you're missing some of those important things that we rely on daily. Good morning, Eric. Eric says, howdy from Columbus, Ohio. I hope you had a great time at the Arnold Classic, Eric. You know, I went to the Arnold Classic back in the early 90s, got to meet Arnold and a bunch of other people. You know, I got to meet Robert Kennedy, who had the Muscle Mag and a lot of books that I had on the shelf. Fantastic event. It's only grown throughout the years. I'd like to make it back another one of these times. I had friends that were there, including you. So I hope you had a great time there. How much water should we have on hand? And that depends, Eric. You know, there's a good article, and I don't have it on the tip of my fingers. Phil Elmore wrote it in a magazine one time. If you have the capability to have several gallons per person for amount of days, that's ideal. But not everybody has that luxury. If you live in a small apartment, you might not have the room to store water. Now, one thing you can easily store water with for some people, if you don't have jugs and different things, is you buy the cases of cheap water, the plastic bottles of cheap water, and you have a few cases per person for a potential outage. And then you can go ahead and use those waters and replenish them. And so that way you're recycling through and they're not, you know, years old and getting old on you. But that's one way. But how much you have, really, part of it depends on how many people in your home and what facility do you have to keep water. If you have a house like I have with a big basement, I can have a bunch of water stored. So we're fine. The two of us, we got cases of water, we're stored, we're fine. But people that live in a small apartment, they might not be able to do that. So have what you can. Maybe you just have one case and you can go a day or two if the water is cut off and you have no water supply. So it really depends a little bit on where you're at, your conditions, and so forth. Do you have another water source readily available? You know, people that have a well or something like that, or a different water source, they may be able to have less water on storage. Definitely want to have something that purifies water. I have the Life Straw products. There are a number of different brands out there. Life Straw is one of them. I have the small Life Straw that will do quite a bit of water. You can take them camping and stuff. I also have a larger Life Straw product that would do gallons and gallons and gallons here at the home if we needed it. So those are something you can do as well. If you can't store as much water, you could have something that could purify water that maybe you have access to that's not readily potable, but you can make it so. And Eric says, the show Arnold Classic was great. Please come back. I would like to make it back one of these days. And Eric also said, thank you. And says, I have prepared tanks to heat water on my grill. Yes, boiling water is one way to make them safe if you don't have a Life Straw or something like that. Dixon says, I recommend Zero water. Zero is capitalized. That would be a brand. Eric also says we have MREs that use the water, 2,000 calories per pack. You know, MREs are a good way to have some survival food. A lot of different companies make them. I mean, you can go to Costco and buy a bucket of that survival food. A lot of it's dried and you have to hydrate it with water and so forth. And it's packaged so it will last a long time. Do watch your expiration dates. It's going to be good past an expiration date, but you might want to eat some and recycle, you know, put some new stuff in and rotate that as well. And, you know, eat the stuff that's getting near or past expiration dates on your camping trip, or have a day where you're just, hey, let's check this stuff out. What would it be like if the power and water went off? What would we do? And eat your MREs and use your water supply and use your candles or flashlights, and don't use any electricity or power or heat or water, and see how it is for a day or two. You could try that out and use some of your stuff that might be getting towards expiration date and see what maybe you're missing, or maybe you wish you had prepared for a little bit better, and then be better prepared for an actual emergency. So that's, you know, sort of what I wanted to get by this morning. Is just important to be prepared for things like that. And this weekend was a perfect example. I hope everybody down in California is okay. I hope they're getting through this terrible storm that they had. It was predicted. And so hopefully people prepared and were ready for it. But I know some people weren't. And so I hope those people are okay. I hope everybody's okay with the storm and it gets back to normal soon. Eric says, my wife hates it when we drill for emergency. Most people do, until the emergency hits, and then they're glad they did. With that, I'm going to say, today is a good day for a good day. Make it a marvelous Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.